I call this meeting of the Senate State Government Committee to order. Would the Secretary please call the roll?
Senator Phillips-Hill.
Here.
Senator Collette. Senator Corman.
Here.
Senator Gordner.
Here.
Senator Mastriano.
Here.
Senator Muth.
Proxy.
Senator Stefano.
Here.
Senator Judy Ward.
Here.
Senator Anthony Williams.
Proxy.
Senator Lindsey Williams.
Here.
And Senator Scarnati.
Proxy. A quorum having been established, we have 6 bills on our agenda today. The first bill that I would like to call up is Senate Bill 327. It is sponsored by Senator Dave Argel. Is there a motion to consider the bill? Thank you, Senator Gordner. Is there a second? Second, Senator Mastriano. So Senate Bill 327 is now before the committee. This bill amends the Administrative Code of 1929 to require DGS to conduct an annual survey of state facility usage. I don't believe that Senator Argel is with us. Are there any questions or discussion on the bill? Are there any negative votes on the bill? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it, and the bill will now be reported as committed. The next bill I would like to call up is Senate Bill 470. It is my legislation. I move the bill for consideration. Is there a second? Second, Senator Mastriano. Senate Bill 470 is now before the committee. This bill instructs DGS to include in its surveys and inventories of Commonwealth real estate structures and assets information on the possible use of such assets for fixed or mobile broadband deployment and services. I now offer amendment number A02924. Is there a motion to consider the amendment? Senator Ward, is there a second? Senator Corman, thank you. Amendment number A02924 is now before the committee. This amendment revises the definitions for fixed broadband services and mobile broadband services, changes the timeline of no more than 30 to no more than 90 days for the approval of the site occupancy agreement, adds an applicability section that states that the act would not apply to the Pennsylvania State Police and the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission. Are there any questions or discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, we will now vote on Amendment A02924. Are there any negative votes? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. Are there any questions or comments on the bill as amended? Are there any negative votes on the bill as amended? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it. The bill will now be reported as amended. The next bill I'd like to call up is Senate Bill 532. And I will move for its consideration. Is there a second? Senator Stefano, thank you. Senate Bill 532 is now before the committee. The bill amends Title 38 to include certain veterans recognition days. I now offer amendment number A02854. Is there a motion to consider the amendment? Senator Corman, thank you. Is there a second? Senator Ward, thank you. Amendment number A02854 is now before the committee. This amendment makes changes to reflect appropriate names and dates of certain Veterans Recognition Days, including changing First Gulf War Veterans Day to Persian Gulf War Veterans Day, and changing Afghan War Veterans Day to Global War on Terrorism Veterans Day, removing Second Gulf War Veterans Day, and adds further details and references concerning Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Freedom Sentinel, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation New Dawn, and Operation Inherent Resolve. Are there any questions or comments regarding the amendment? Seeing none, seeing no further discussion, we'll now vote on amendment number A02854. Are there any negative votes? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. Are there any questions or comments on the bill as amended? Are there any negative votes on the bill as amended? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it, and the bill will now be reported as amended. Would like to welcome Senator Collette. Thank you for being here. The next bill I'd like to call up is Senate Bill 750. It's sponsored by Senator Scarnati. Is there a motion to consider the bill? Thank you, Senator Gordner. A second. Thank you, Senator Stefano. Senate Bill 750 is now before the committee. This bill amends the Administrative Code of 1929 to require the Department of General Services to sell the official residence of the Lieutenant Governor. I now offer amendment number A02885. Is there a motion to consider the amendment? I'll move, so moved, Senator Corman. Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Senator Stefano. Amendment number A02885 is before the committee. This amendment revises section 2402.3 to now require the Department of General Services, instead of a sale, to transfer the authority of the official residence of the Lieutenant Governor through a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. Upon transfer, the Lieutenant Governor's mansion shall be used for the purposes of supporting Pennsylvania's veterans programs and supporting the National Guard to include current and survivor families. The Department of General Services shall maintain the Lieutenant Governor's mansion prior to the transfer of the authority. Are there any questions or discussion regarding the amendment? Yes, Senator Collette.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wondered, it was my understanding that the Lieutenant Governor was hoping that the pool would still remain open for the use of the children's camps that have been using it over the summer, and I'm not sure if there's any mention of that in the amendment, and I wondered if that's going to be the intention.
As to the specific use of the pool after this language is adopted, we are not certain if that in fact will be the case, but what we can say is that the pool, the house, the grounds will be used for veterans and their families. And DGS and DMVA worked together and worked with us on this language.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions on the amendment? Are there any negative votes on the amendment? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. Are there any questions or comments on the bill as amended? Are there any negative votes on the bill as amended? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it, and the bill will now be reported as amended. The next bill I'd like to call up is House Bill 305, sponsored by Representative Pam Snyder. Is there a motion to consider the bill? Senator Ward, seconded by Senator Mastriano. House Bill 305 is now before the committee. Again, this bill instructs DGS to include in its surveys and inventories of Commonwealth real estate structures and assets information on the possible use of such assets for fixed or mobile broadband services, and allows the Pennsylvania State Police jurisdiction over the statewide mobile radio and microwave system. I now offer amendment number A02869. Is there a motion to consider the amendment? Senator Mastriano. Is there a second? Senator Gordner. Amendment number A02869 is now before the committee. This amendment revises the definitions for fixed broadband services and mobile broadband services by removing reference in both definitions to data bit rate or connectivity speed defined by department policy. Are there any questions regarding the amendment? Seeing no further discussion, we'll now vote on amendment number A02869. Are there any negative votes? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. Are there any questions or comments on the bill as amended? Senator Gordner.
Madam Chair, just curious, differences between your bill and this bill? Are there some changes or differences?
Essentially, these two bills are very similar.
Okay.
The House bill is further along in the process, and we're moving these bills forward so that they are both positioned, and if necessary, we can move them, although our hope is that we don't have to move them.
Okay, very good. I know you've been, with your other committee, been traveling around the state with folks holding hearings around it, so obviously you've been gaining some information from that, and hopefully it's useful as part of the broader effort to get broadband.
Indeed, and certainly what we hope is that this new contract that the governor has entered into will be, as we have time to vet it, I had requested that information over a week ago, was just presented with it last evening. It's 585 pages long, and must say that I haven't had the opportunity to read it. But certainly, if this contract does what this contract needs to do, then we will not need to move these bills any farther along in the process. But we need to vet this, and it will take some time to read.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Senator Gordner. The bill, are there any additional questions or comments on the bill as amended? Are there any negative votes on the bill as amended? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it, and the bill will now be reported as amended. The final bill I'd like to call up is House Bill 1222. It is sponsored by Representative Andrew Lewis. Is there a motion to consider the bill? Senator Ward, seconded by Senator Gordner. House Bill 1222 is now before the committee. This bill amends Title 10 to consolidate the Solicitation of Funds for Charitable Purposes Act and the Institutions of Purely Public Charity Act. And I see that Representative Lewis is with us. Representative, if you would like to come and offer a few words about your legislation, we would welcome it.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. This is a technical bill. It's House Bill 1222, which consolidates Chapter 13 and Chapter 23 under Title 10. And it was, in the last 3 sessions, was a Senate bill, makes no substantive changes to current law. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Lewis. I'm now offering amendment number A02874. Is there a motion to consider the amendment? Senator Gordner, is there a second? Senator Ward. Amendment number A02874 is before the committee. This amendment makes technical revisions to ensure consistency with Acts 71 and 72 of 2017, and I understand that it has the consent of Representative Lewis.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the amendment? Are there any negative votes on the amendment? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. Are there any questions or comments on the bill as amended? Are there any negative votes? Seeing none, hearing none, the ayes have it, and the bill will now be reported as amended. Congratulations, Representative Lewis. That completes today's agenda, and this meeting of the Senate State Government Committee is now recessed to the call of the chair. Thank you, everyone.